Let's get some opinion now on what such a merger could mean for the group, for the individual companies, for all stakeholders, and whether Vedanta could build a company that could rival Rio Tinto and BHP Billiton. We are joined in our studio, of course, by our in-house experts, Anuj and Nigel, but more importantly, we have joining us Anil Singhvi, the founder of IIAS, and Amit Tandon of IIAS as well, to talk us through their opinion on this development. First up, I'm going to go to Anuj and Nigel for a quick take on if this were to happen, what impact would it have on financials and stakeholders?
So I think financials and stakeholding, Nigel will address, but I can tell you why Cairn is under so much pressure today, Menika, and that's because the cash of Cairn is the entire story here. The company sits on cash of 30,000 crores.
Sure.
You will remember when they lent the money to promoter, what kind of stock behavior we saw, and that is the real risk because Sterlite has a debt of 30,000 crore and Cairn has cash of 30,000 crores. So that's the real risk.
So if I understood what Mr. Agarwal was saying, his intention, or at least the proposal they were looking at, was to merge Cairn and Hindustan Zinc and then eventually merge that entity into Sesa Sterlite.
That's right. That's right. So Menika, just to give you a couple of other details, Cairn has around 30,000 crores approximately. Hindustan Zinc as well as sitting with a cash balance in excess of 20,000 crores. While Sesa Sterlite, they have a debt of more than 35,000 crores. So those are the figures with regard to that. But take a look at what has been happening just in the last 9 months. So we are 9 months into this financial year and the promoters have already hiked stake by close to around 5% in Sesa Sterlite. That's because if they go ahead and they merge the two companies, then the stake will fall from 60% to around 45%. So they're already increasing stake because in the event of a merger that Macquarie as well has written in the month of July 2014, they had said that this is likely to lead to a merger, and in fact the promoters have gone the full haul. They have gone and increased it by the stipulated 5% in this year itself. So that was what the industry in fact was looking forward to, and 5% is what they've done. But clearly Cairn India under pressure today.
Okay, so we have Mr. Albany saying this is strictly speculative, but he also goes on to say it's part of the path of progression. So is he saying speculative about the timing of it, or is he calling the likelihood of it happening speculative?
I think he's talking about the likelihood that is.
No, Nigel. I think when Mr. Anil Agarwal also, being on record and saying that they are looking at something like this.
I think what he said, to play it safe, he said we have asked for consultants to look at this proposal.
Exactly.
So that's one way of saying, look, we are considering this, but we are going to get outside opinion. Because you know what, to sell it to shareholders, you have to be able to say, but 3 consultants have suggested this, so that it all makes for a better group structure.
Indeed.
Right?
So it is quite obvious
standard corporate practice, right? Get a consultant to deliver the bad news.
It is quite obvious that proposal is on the board and that they're going to discuss that.
And he was also backing himself up by saying in his personal capacity also he's gone ahead and bought these Sesa Sterlite shares, etc. In that particular interview, I had done the interview early today. Okay. So he had also said that in his personal capacity, Tom Albany, he said even in his personal capacity he's gone and he's bought these shares. So he believes that in fact at these levels maybe the stock is attractive, and that was just some justification that he was given.
Let's put this question then to experts. I'm going to start first with Anil Singhvi. He understands the natural resource space well, has been a business leader in corporate India, the founder of IIAS. Mr. Singhvi, when you hear of such a proposal come in from the Vedanta group, which, might I add, has a history of merging and demerging group companies, what do you make of the rationale behind it?
It's a very bad idea for 2 reasons. I heard your debate and you're very right in saying that CEO saying that what chairman is saying is speculative. So first of all, I think they need to know what they're talking to each other on this particular matter. And second issue, which is a very important factor, is that since they have 30,000 crore cash in Cairn India, and Cairn is right now going through, as you know it, how oil prices have come down, and I think going forward they don't look to be very good. So in these times, to merge a company which in any case is going through a bit of their own cash flow problem is a very bad idea. And you still have a lot of spin into the entire Sesa Sterlite situation because of the mining issues and all that. In that, to merge these 2 companies and Hindustan Zinc also, because the government hasn't yet made up its mind what they need to do about stake sale in this company. So when they are confronted on every front, whether it is Cairn or whether it is Hindustan Zinc or Sesa Sterlite, I think it's a very bad idea because it is going to confuse the shareholders, and I don't think they will get shareholders' approval on that. And we will recommend not to approve these kind of mergers.
Mr. Singhvi, if I may just sort of point, maybe it's possible that while they're considering this proposal now, it would make very little sense for either Mr. Agarwal or Vedanta or any of the companies involved to undertake a merger of Hindustan Zinc and Cairn while the government is still invested in Hindustan Zinc. So maybe this is a possibility only after the government remaining divestment takes place, which maybe Mr. Agarwal is hopeful will take place in the near term.
No, but Menika, the point which you made it very clear that bad news to be given by the consultant. So if I take that thing on face of it, that it's a very bad idea. First of all, so I'm questioning the idea itself. Forget about the timing of the idea. The idea is not good. And to say that you're going to compete with the global and resource-based companies, it's not necessary that you've got to really merge. They're coming under the Vedanta Resources umbrella in any case. By merging the companies in India, in any case, what you're doing is only a legal merger of the entity, but that really robs the minority shareholders because you take away all the cash which is sitting out for the growth of zinc and for the growth of oil and gas. You can't be putting that money into, if I want to buy Sesa Sterlite, I'll buy Sesa Sterlite. Why should you merge these three companies just to say that globally one or two companies, large companies have many resource-based plants? That doesn't make any sense. Actually, to give example of these global giants and to say that I'm doing it because of that, I think itself is a very poor idea.
Amit, I have no doubt that you and Mr. Singhvi are on the same page when it comes to the IIAS view on a transaction of this nature whenever it takes place, if it does. But if I can play devil's advocate, what's the harm? The promoter earns more than 50% in all the entities involved here. If they want to put such a proposal on the table, and if they do believe that bringing all these natural resource ownerships into one corporate entity is the way to move forward and be able to sort of realize the actual value of all these investments, what really is the harm? Amit?
Well, I think, Menika, first, it is as we Menika, as we said, the whole thing is speculative. Till such time as the government continues to own close to 30% of Hindustan Zinc, I think it's extremely premature to talk about a transaction of this nature. The second thing is that, look, while, for every business you could have a model and point to it and say that, look, BHP does it or Rio Tinto does it. Please, let's go back. BHP, that business is not proven. They acquired the oil assets only a few years back. So let's see how that pans out, whether they're going to continue to hold it or not. But I think what Anil is saying is he's kind of questioning the motivation. You're not saying that, look, why have a large non-ferrous business and so on and so forth, or ferrous and non-ferrous business. His idea is, he's questioning the fact that, look, cash from one business where it's needed is going to be used in the other business. And that, I think, is the question which a lot of investors are going to ask. They're comfortable in Hindustan Zinc. They're comfortable in Cairn as of now. Some of them are comfortable holding Sesa. Should it all be merged? Particularly given the fact that one has excess debt, the other is sitting on cash. Is this the right time and is this the right way to go for now? That's what.
Okay, fair enough. I want to put this question to both.
Of course, is as always the valuation.
I just want to put this question to both Anuj and Nigel here. Oil and gas, if this is where prices are going to languish, let's say for the next year or two, or around the $50 a barrel mark, or maybe even 60, is not going to be necessarily the most promising space, because discovery is going to be that much more cost compromised, right? So can't I look at it from the other point of view and say, look, Mr. Agarwal is telling the shareholders of Cairn that maybe the prospects are not that great in the near term for Cairn over the next 2-3 years. Anyways, they've been having other trouble with the government, so why not allow you and your investment to also get exposure to, let's say, other natural resources that might do better than oil and gas? So can I not use that argument to justify the kind of proposal they want to bring to shareholders if they ever do?
If I was a shareholder, I would say, let me make my own decision in that case. At the end of the day, I have invested my money in Cairn only for one particular reason. We've seen oil prices, Menika, they move in cycles, right? I mean, in the past also we've seen oil prices go down to 40 and they have bounced back to 120. This time it could be different, but then that's the risk that I'm taking if I'm investing in Cairn. At the same time, if I'm investing in Hindustan Zinc, I'm investing for a different business. I mean, let that choice be on the shareholder. And, I don't need someone else's wisdom to decide, okay, let me safeguard your investment in one company. That's the point that I have.
What are analysts in the street telling you about?
I'll tell you, Menka, with regard to Sesa Sterlite, when they come out with a set of numbers, there's nothing in their numbers. Just to give you that point, because Hindustan Zinc comes before that and Cairn India comes
so 70% of it is Cairn and
80%
Hindustan.
of that,
80% is Cairn and Hindustan.
Operationally comes from there itself. Now they've already got a problem because Cairn India at these particular levels, Citi came out with a note last week and they said in the next year itself there'll be free cash flow negative from FY16 onwards already.
On Sesa's balance sheet.
On Cairn India as a company, they'll already be negative. So they've already got a problem because then the EBITDA also is going to take a hit on those lines itself. Just in the last quarter we saw that the entire profitability of Sesa Sterlite fell because maximum of it, if you could just split it, I think it's around 40 or 45% that comes from both these two companies. So Cairn India taking a knock, you're already in trouble as a group because your cash cow is now going to be negative terrain. So that's already something. And with regard to aluminium prices, you're telling them aluminium prices have fallen from 2,200 to around 1,900 today. So you're already in trouble over there. I know business is not Kickstarter. That's 8 rupees off the valuation. So that's absolutely nothing. For your aluminium operations, you don't have bauxite till today. The entire requirement of the group is around 46 million tons. And currently, they get only around 13 to 14 million tons via linkage. So all the other businesses without coal is already running at an EBIT loss. So that argument doesn't hold at all, that if you want to, maybe Cairn is going through a bad phase and that's why I want to give exposure to metals. That's not done at all.
Okay, let me put that question to Mr. Singhvi as well. Mr. Singhvi, do you think that shareholders will buy it if they're told that, look, right now the prospects for further capital investment in oil and gas are not very good? We've got 30,000 crores sitting on the books of Cairn India. Maybe that money is better invested and will earn a better return in some other natural resource spaces, whether it's aluminium, zinc, or otherwise within the Sesa, portfolio.
Menaka, there are 2 points. First of all, Sesa, Sterlite and Cairn are two distinctively very separate businesses. You just use the word natural resource. Now, natural resource can be anything. Natural resource can be water, air, many other things are natural resource. But you can't merge distillery with Cairn. I mean, just to draw home the point. The second issue is that the merger should be when you have both strong players. And you see the strength coming in both the businesses, that merger really works. You can't see that right now oil prices are coming down and because of that you would like to have exposure in aluminum and zinc and that's why I want to merge it. No merger works when you see that there is going to be a distinctive weakness in both the products and both the business lines on that. So that's what I'm saying. It's a very poor business idea. If it is even floated by any of the business consultants, I think they are only gunning for the fee, not for the business.
Okay. Amit, you spoke about valuations. Will this merger make any sense at some kind of valuation, or what valuation would this merger make sense for shareholders?
Look, it's premature to comment on that, but just to take up from what Anil had said, the fact that, look, when people buy into oil and gas businesses, and if you look at a lot of them historically, what they do is typically if they've, in the case of Cairn, if they've kind of pumped out 200,000 barrels per day, they need to find new assets which gives them 200,000 barrels a day, and therefore that cash is best invested in that business. I think at the moment the discussion is a little bit more in terms of strategic fit rather than the valuations per se. In all these things, there could be a value at which you say that, look, it's dirt cheap, it doesn't cost me anything, let's take a look at it. But I don't think we are kind of focused on that just now. What we're hearing across from all the panelists and from your reporters is the fact that, look, at this moment it doesn't make sense to put the oil and gas business along with the non-ferrous business, and therefore as it really doesn't make sense to kind of combine these two at this moment.
Are you sure that the market is so opposed to this, Anuj? The reason why I ask is when news of that intra-group loan broke out, if I remember correctly, the Cairn stock crashed almost 8, 9, 10% on that particular day. Now, I know the stock has come off those values considerably because of what's happened to oil prices, but today the stock is down just 3% on the back of any such potential proposal or merger. That doesn't seem to be a hugely negative reaction by investors.
How much will you flog at that horse, Menka? Look at the Cairn stock, the way it's fallen from 350 or so to 235 or so. I think it's already factoring in, as Nigel pointed out, maybe negative free cash flow. So, and this is at a preliminary stage. My sense is that if this gains momentum, Cairn India stock would be an underperformer. That's the sense I get talking to a lot of people. In any case, Cairn already has so much discount built into its price because the promoter discount. When Brent crude was trading at 120, Cairn was still at 330. When its real value easily would have been some, say, 600 to 700, maybe even higher. So a lot of that is already in the price. Maybe it's, how much worse can it get from here? That could be preventing the stock.
Why is Sesa not up? If this is so advantageous to Sesa, and that's the sort of the not nice reason behind why Mr. Agarwal or the group is suggesting this, then Sesa should be up higher, but it isn't.
Exactly, Manka. And in the morning, in fact, it was 2% down. So it's the entire group into a tizzy. Remember, the promoter is buying, and in fact,
that just could be because people are not fully sure of what it will mean. Not necessarily that they're opposed to it or against it.
Maybe is the market sensing any kind of desperation that from Mr. Agarwal's point of view, that it's such a time of desperation that you're looking at this kind of move, and Sesa Sterlite's own fundamentals maybe are not seen that positive because of this. I mean, that could be just one reason that the Sesa Sterlite stock has also not reacted positively.
And Manka, I'll tell you another thing. It's going to be quite interesting with regard to this coal block allocation, because they were saying that since Sesa Sterlite, they've never got any coal blocks, they've never had any natural resources. So any kind of changes that are coming about will be most advantageous to this company.
Sesa, because they get to participate in the offer.
But now with this entire overhang coming around, it's going to be quite what analysts were saying is that they have the money power, they can raise money, they can go and bid for any block they want because they don't have anything. So they can go out there and they can, like Hindalco had lost a block, JSP had lost 3 blocks. But for Sesa Sterlite, if you read any of the reports post that ordinance, they said that the biggest advantage would be a Sesa Sterlite. But the stock hasn't moved even from there. It was at 205 at that time, today it's at 206, even prior to this news.
Okay, Mr. Singhvi, final question to you then is this, that we seem to be at the beginning of a down cycle for commodities as a whole. There could be some rationale in a group saying, look, if we consolidate all these businesses, it will be easier for us to plan capital investment over the years to come. It will be easier for us to move money between one natural resource and the other, depending on where the demand looks better. You would not buy into that at all?
Menika, if I just drop my hat as from IIAS and just look at business perspective and not to be worried about how shareholders would look at it,
yes,
I think it's a bad idea per se, for the simple reason that businesses, when they go through the poor business cycles, and that point in time, if you merge, and particularly if you merge a company which is laden with a lot of debt with another company which has some ammunition left for it to fight the market sources, it's a very poor decision, because the weakness of both will play out in the market. So from business perspective, it's a very, very poor decision. Let Cairn India really ride through this oil cycle. If they have the cash, they should look for some more acquisitions at this point in time, because many will be bleeding cash on that. So they should really be sitting on the cash resources rather than merging it with the other company and just diminishing all what they really can do in the low cycle of the business.
All right.
So every consolidation exercise should be done when your businesses are really looking up, not looking down.
Fair enough. 10-second question to you, Amit Tandon. The good news is that if they were to go through on a proposal of this nature, the promoters would not be able to vote on it. So the minority will have the option of deciding on this deal.
That's right. That's how things stand. At the moment it is 75%, but there is a move to bring this down from 75% of minority investors to 50%. So let's wait and watch that space as well in terms of what is happening at that end. But yes, at the moment they will need approval of 75% of the minority investors to push this through.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, very much for joining us. Anuj, Nigel, as always, thank you very much for being with us in studio.